Good evening and welcome everybody. We are live in Facebook land. Welcome to the Rock Church Facebook page. Hopefully you are all seeing us on your screen. We've got a merry bunch of men and women with us tonight. We're going to start things off with Mr. James Hartley. He is in the blue corner. Kathy, how are you this evening? Good to see you. To my left, literally, and I don't know where she is on the screen. She is just down there. That's Kate. Most of you will know her. If you don't, she is my gorgeous wife, and we're in the same room, obviously, as you can see now. But we thought it would be good for you to see us on different screens. Different. What would you call it? Boxes. I can't think of a technical term. Normally we're squeezed in, but we thought we'd spread out and kind of stretched out tonight. So, Kate, tell us. People on Facebook who don't know you, maybe a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Kate. I'm married to him, wherever he is on the screen.
Hang on, don't point in the wrong. You're pointing to John there.
The one who's doing all the talking. We've been leading the Rock Church for 10 years in about 2 months' time. And we're just full on and busy, cracking on with our jobs at the minute and trying to look after the church.
Brilliant. Could you please just lower, this is my OCD, could you lower your camera a little bit?
Me?
Yeah, just lower your camera. Just a little bit. Oh, a bit more, bit more.
Oh, it's not going any differently.
Oh, now it's all gone wrong. You sort that out. John, great to have you with us tonight. John is our very special guest. Let's hear it for Mr. Fahey. Yay! John has got the mother of all microphones. We are feeling very envious. We're feeling very inferior. Does it work, John, is the question that everybody's wondering.
Well, let's hope I'm muting myself. But Ali, more important than that, have you noticed anything else different about me this evening?
About you? Well, apart from the fact that you seem to be drinking alcohol, which I just saw when Kate was speaking.
You gave me some clear instructions tonight.
You brushed your hair.
I've had a haircut ready for this evening.
Really? Come close, come close. Come close to the camera, let's see.
Ooh.
So, how did you get a lockdown cut done? You do it yourself?
Sarah said to me, okay, haircut time. What haircut do you want? And I say, well, Ali, I'll have to tell you.
Well, he says, what haircut do you want? I mean, what was on offer?
It's not much.
Hey, let's get down to business, guys. I know, John, you might have to leave us before we're out, but we're hoping we might be able to get you for the whole time. And again, thank you for being with us. We want to just talk all things Alpha tonight. This is all about you as a potential guest at Alpha. Maybe for a lot of you, just some information, some insight, some inspiration that hopefully will get you over the line into sign up land, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But what we're going to do first off, before we go any further, we're going to show a very short promo video from Alpha just to whet the appetite on what we're going to be speaking on tonight.
Every day we ask so many questions. What should I wear? What's the weather going to be like? How am I going to fit everything in? But then there are those bigger questions, like why am I here? Where am I heading? Is there more to life than this?
I had arrived at an answer to the most important issue that we humans ever deal with. Is there a God? And I had arrived there without ever really looking at the evidence. And I was supposed to be a scientist.
At 28, I had gotten many of the things that I thought I wanted. My girlfriend was on the cover of magazines, I had a Beamer, and I was so unhappy. It was a realization maybe that I would never find happiness where I was looking for it.
think for so many years, you know, I always just strived to be strong in myself. All I needed was me and my buddies and, you know, we'd be like invincible. But the truth is, none of us are.
I found purpose, I found meaning, I found hope. God took something so broken and made it a beautiful art piece.
Alpha is a place where you can be yourself. You can say what you think and challenge everything. No question is too complex or too simple. And what your point of view is as important as anyone else's.
We are going on a journey together, an adventure to explore the questions of life, faith, and meaning.
Let's just talk about our aspirations of Alpha, just the guys on the screen here. Jim, you've been working really hard over the last 2 weeks into the minute detail of Alpha. What's your feeling? We're starting a week on Monday. We've got several sign-ups already. We've got space for quite a few more. What's your expectations about the whole thing? What's Alpha mean to you?
My expectations are born out of having done the course, or started the course a few months ago at the beginning of the year, when I was a few band members were asked by one of the other band members who's been on an Alpha course and you know, had his life changed through one a few years ago, and he invited us onto an Alpha, so I went on to support everybody else in it. But just how much everybody enjoyed it, they just were really buzzing about it every single week, and so realistically seeing how that affected people that I, you know, friends of mine who I'm doing live with, you know, and actually these aren't sort of Christians or people that you know, have got any sort of profound expectations out of it. They just came on because they were invited, and they just loved the content, they loved how it sort of spoke to them, how it was making them think, how the ability to talk and question the different things. And after seeing how it's affected some of my friends, I was just like, man, we've got to do this. So I just can see that, and I just see that happening for anybody else that wants to give the time and to invest in it. So.
Great, fantastic. Kathy, I know you're going to be interviewed in a minute, and John, I'm going to have a chat with you. But Kate, just your chance to kind of get in off the bat here as church leader, Alpha, about connecting people with God who wouldn't maybe normally take a foot in a church or be that bothered about things of that nature. What's your thinking about the whole process?
Yeah, super excited. We've been going 10 years, and in the first year we wanted to do it, and we found out another church were doing it, so we just kind of piggybacked on the back of them. They were really kind, they just invited us in, and we've gone another 9 years and still haven't actually got around to doing it for ourselves. And so just after Christmas we decided, right, this is the year, we're going to do Alpha. We had it all planned, all structured out for Cotgrave, and then the lockdown came. But here we are, trialling it online, as I'm sure a few other churches around the world are doing, and just super excited because I think as a team, I think we've all agreed that this is probably an even better way for some people of connecting in, because some people don't want to leave their homes, come to a pub with a bunch of people that they don't know and just walk in. So it's a bit different when you're sat in your living room to when you're actually walking into a venue. So hopefully we'll attract some people who might have never done it. Great
stuff. A clip now of a story of somebody, a famous person who got invited to Alpha, and if I can make it all work, this is their story.
My name's Hugo Monnier. I'm 30 years old. I'm a former rugby player. I used to play for a team called Harlequins in London, played for England and the British and Irish Lions. I'm now a commentator / pundit, so I've gone from playing rugby to talking about it, which is great. Rugby's such a physical game. On a Saturday, you get beaten up, you really do. Sunday, you're feeling like your body's in pieces, and Monday's part of the recovery process. And we had this new masseuse come in, her name was Rachel, and I was asking her what she'd been up to at the weekend, and she said she'd been at church, and I was like, oh wow, well that's really cool. it's really cool, nice. And we progressed the conversation, asked her what she was up to in the week. And she said she's going on an Alpha course, had I heard of it? And I was like, well, I'd seen the signage, seen it on the buses, I've seen it in and around London, but didn't really know too much about it. But I started talking about it, and she said, well, you should try it out, like, you should try it out. In fact, there's a course starting next week at Holy Trinity Brompton, led by Nicky Gumbel. So we went, I was nervous, didn't know what to expect, I really didn't. I literally thought it'd be like 10 people in a room, candle, glass of water, and people just kind of unloading all their troubles, and me walking away more depressed than what I came with. Couldn't be any further from the truth. Turned up and people queuing outside HTB, 1,500 people rock up. There was music, there was light, there was life. It was unbelievable. My experience of church beforehand had been, you go to church, you get spoken at, you nod your head, you go home. But it was amazing to be engaged in conversation. Someone gave a talk on the various different topics which you speak about. I got to listen, digest it, and then actually speak to other people within the small groups about what it was. There was loads of different people from different backgrounds. I remember the first ever chat we had, there was someone who completely rubbished the talk. So it was like, what did you think of it? And he was like, I can't say exactly what he said, but he was pretty aggressive and he was pretty adamant that what we were saying were complete lies. And I was like, wow, like, for a start, I've never heard anyone speak up in church like that. And secondly, well, if he can say that, it means we can say anything we want, which is great. And it wasn't like anyone was offended. And the one word it kept coming back to was respect, 100%.
Glad to have Kathy with us. She's been with the church a couple of years, but Kathy's actually got saved because of Alpha. So Kathy, you've obviously done the Alpha course. It's had a massive impact on your life, but how did you find out about it in the first place?
Yeah, so I was living down in London at the time. I was married, but unfortunately my marriage was, let's say, wasn't working out too well. And so I was going through a difficult patch in my life, and actually it was one of my husband's friends who was the least likely character you would ever imagine to have done something like Alpha. But he came to me and asked me if I would like to go and do an Alpha course. He'd just done it, and he wanted to do it again with me. And so, yeah, so he invited me along to, it was actually at Holy Trinity Brompton, which is the home of Alpha. And yeah, so he invited me along to a guest service one Sunday. And, he sort of sold it to me that, you can go and get coffee from the coffee shop and just take a coffee in and just, you don't have to enter into anything. You can just sit and listen. And so I went into the guest service and they were promoting Alpha there, starting in a couple of weeks. And so, yeah, that was 18 years ago, this was, so back in 2002. And Nicky Gumbel looked a lot younger then than he does now, I have to say, as did I. But yeah, so he invited me along, and as I say, he was the most unlikely character. He was a bit of a football hooligan, he was a beer-swilling, foul-mouthed, guy who just asked me, and I was like, well, if it's good for him, it's good for me. So yeah, so I said yes and went along. I didn't have any expectations. I'd never heard of Alpha. Yeah, so that's wow. How I heard about it.
So what was your experience of it then?
I have to admit, the first night as I was going along, I was a bit terrified because I didn't know what to expect at all. But I didn't need to be worried, because the minute I walked in and the minute I went into that environment, it was just, you could sense there was something just lovely. It was just really peaceful. It was calm. It was, people were all really friendly. We were very quickly put into groups, like the sort of discussion groups that you become part of when you do an Alpha course. And we had about 10 in our group. And that's who you spent each week with. So you would go in, and when you do it in that environment, obviously you go and you share some food, you chat, and then you listen to the talk and everything, and then you discuss afterwards. So yeah, that was I was pretty terrified, but the first week after that, it was okay. I didn't worry about it.
So I presume back then, no such thing as WhatsApp. Was there mobiles back then? 18 years ago? Yeah. Okay, so did you keep in touch with your group in the week, or did you just see them when you got to Alpha on that night?
No, we kept in touch. So I mean, the first week or two, you were still just getting to know each other, really. But I mean, we used to go to the pub afterwards, which was obviously a good reason because I like to drink or two at that point in my life. And yeah, we'd all go to the pub afterwards. And then after 2 or 3 weeks, we sort of swapped numbers and we had email. So you'd message each other. We didn't have WhatsApp groups necessarily, but people would be in touch, and you connected. There were certain people that you connected with possibly more than others, and but generally everybody. I mean, I'm still in touch with at least half of the group 18 years on.
That's amazing. Wow.
Anybody else famous when you were doing it?
Well, actually, there was a chap called Bear Grylls, who was on my Alpha course. He was a big friend of Nicky Gumbel anyway, and Charlie Maxey. I mean, they were all friends, but I think he was probably helping. I don't know if he was actually doing the Alpha course or whether he was there. I think he probably had already got a faith, but yeah, he was just lovely, I mean, he was just so unpretentious, just so natural. He'd come and sit and talk, and actually he gave me a book, look, and he signed it. Can you read that?
Yeah.
Kathy, you're really showing off tonight.
Look, Bear Grylls loves me.
Jim, did you have anybody famous on your Alpha course?
Well, the Martin, the guy that invited us, used to play guitar for Kylie Minogue.
Oh, here we go. We're all at that tonight.
But it was it's at Hucknall I think it was Hucknall Watnall Road Baptist Church. So I'm not sure how many famous people go there. So
yeah, good point. I don't know whether this. I mean, this was the moment we were going to go and kill a video of Bear Grylls, and
I think you should play it.
I think I should just have a go.
Yeah.
What does it take to live a life of adventure? The truth is, the first step is always the hardest. That's the one that takes the most courage. But I've learned not to run from that fear and just do it. My Christian faith can be a little up and down, like any relationship. It has struggles and it has doubts. But it's so often brought light to a dark path. Warmth to a cold mountain, and strength to a failing body. I remember crawling onto the summit of Everest and clearing the snow from my mask to see the curvature of the earth at the edges. But finding a simple faith that empowers my life, to me, that's been my greatest adventure. Got questions about life? Try Alpha.
So yeah, John, you've been doing Alpha on and off for years. Just tell us, is this for a certain type of person? Is what I'm interested in. Where would you say in terms of promoting it, marketing it? Do you pitch it at a certain type?
Yeah, so let me jump to that question, because I think that's the fundamental question. If I was out there wondering about running an Alpha, coming on an Alpha, whatever, here's one of my core convictions. Everybody, I think, who has held their own baby, everybody who's gone through a time of intense pressure in life, anybody who's been made redundant, anybody who's experienced some sort of trauma, does ask themselves the question, is this what life is all about? Am I missing out on something more significant? And the whole point of Alpha is to spend a few weeks just addressing those bigger questions in life. Giving it a go, taking some time out. Even this week, I heard about a lady in our church is going through some treatment at hospital at the moment, and she met a guy, and this guy's also having treatment. And he said, years ago, I used to go to church, and going through what I'm going through now, I'm just wondering if maybe there's a way back for me. And my advice to him would be, why not connect with Alpha? Why not investigate again? if faith is possibly relevant for your life. It's all about questions. It's all about allowing, I guess, our hearts to ask those deeper questions that so often we don't. Does that give you a flavour?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think what I'm going to do is, Kate, I'm going to invite you to come and cuddle up next to me, because I think we're getting feedback because of the two. So if you want to turn your there we go. So can you all hear me, guys?
Yeah.
We're all nice and cuddly on one screen now. So that yeah, like I say, that helps my OCD a lot better. So yeah, let's pick up there and carry on, John. Yeah, we've looked at who it's for. Alpha, notice Alpha's been going for years, hasn't it? I think it's been translated into over 112 languages. It's a countless number of millions of people have actually gone on the course.
Yeah.
They've changed some of the way they pitched it over the years, and it used to be called the Alpha Course, but they kind of dropped the word course over recent years. And my understanding is that that's because they don't want it to feel like it's some kind of overt teaching, strong, Bible bashing, basically, type experience. And the language that comes out of Alpha is it's rather than teacher guest, it's more teacher student. It's more host and guest. Where is the learning element for you, having done it? How do people interact? How do people come out different, bigger, more knowledgeable people?
Yeah, so let's get this right. So the logo's a question mark. That sense of questions are key for Alpha. It works absolutely best for me. I've run loads of courses now. It works best for me when there's somebody sort of on the table with me discussing from an opposite viewpoint, where they're willing to ask any question. There's nothing off limits. It doesn't matter how random the question might seem. It doesn't matter how opposed to Christianity it might seem. If we can get a debate going, it means that there's an opportunity for me to learn about maybe different people's faith backgrounds, different life experiences. I just love hearing about what people have experienced in life. And then also as people discuss around the table, then together, it's like a bit of a journey for me. People go on this journey together of asking the question, where might the Christian faith fit in my life? That's the sort of question people answer. Is it relevant? Is it not relevant? What does prayer look like? Is it different for me? Is it different to you? And that type of thing. I think I'd say as well, and you'll understand this, Kate and Ali, running a church, that sometimes you hear the most profound questions as people open their hearts, open their homes, and invite you in to discuss the big stuff of life. I'd have to say around an Alpha table or an Alpha conversation, I've had some of those most profound conversations. Why is my life like this? And somebody might hang a specific on that. I've suffered depression since I was 16 years old, or why did that person die? Or how can I have hope in this situation? Or is God truly good? And these questions are incredibly profound to discuss together. So I think me learning what's going on in people's hearts, learning together, it's that whole journey thing. I'll say one other thing, Ali, and then you can ask the next question. I'd say as well, Alpha is just brilliant for people that have dipped their toe into church. Maybe just had a little look from the outside, just wondering, maybe went to church years ago. I think it's just a great way to go back and look at some of the foundations of what Christians believe in a context of you bringing your questions. Does that, again, answer your question?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'd love to hear from Jim as well quickly, because Jim, you were partway through an Alpha course just before lockdown hit us. Would you add anything to that in terms of giving people who are watching a feel for the content and what to expect in terms of what they might learn from it?
Yeah, I mean, every single video builds on the last one, and there's enough content to kind of stir a conversation without it needing to go further than that. There's a lot bigger questions that you can ask further down the line. But some of the things that came out, the videos are absolutely brilliant. They're really, really classily done to a really high standard. They're entertaining. They don't feel like pressurized in any way, kind of thing. They just offering up things to stir the mind, so that when you come to the conversation, to the discussion part of it all, that you're just oozing with things that you want to talk about, you know. And that has drawn out some, as John was saying, some of the most profound, incredible things out of people that, like, a week or so beforehand, hadn't even met each other. And this was really developing, a sense of closeness that I think people hadn't experienced that way outside of that. So it really was a brilliant thing. And there was a chap that started the course, and you could tell he was really guarded. He was a bit older, maybe, kind of just. It sounded like he'd been working in designing sort of racing car engines or something like that. He's quite a smarter guy, you know, and he'd come on his own, and he basically was like, eventually opened up and said that about a year ago, I died for like 20 minutes. You know, I had my heart restarted, and then he shared his experience about what happened, and the sense he'd made of it. But he'd actually seen this vision of a gate and some green meadow kind of thing, which is, you've heard that kind of stuff before. And he said, it doesn't make sense. If I'm a motor trade, why wasn't it if it was just like a bolt of energy or electricity which transmitted thoughts, why wasn't it something to do with like a racing track or something like that, you know? Anyway, over the course of this thing, he said, look, this has been in me, it's been bugging me. I needed somewhere to go to explore what happened to me. Why am I still here? All that kind of stuff. And, if you've got people like that coming, you've got other people who literally, you could tell they didn't want to engage really, because they weren't really sure whether people were going to like what they were going to say. But actually, kind of once they'd voiced it, it gave people permission to say anything really, actually. And the more that happened, the more healthy, the more rich the discussions came, because we're all coming here with all sorts of trying to make sense of life from our different experiences. And we've all made sense of a certain amount of it, but we've got so many more questions, and that's really what it's for. It's like, if that's the case, then what about this, and every single week gives you the fuel so that it draws those questions out of you as well. And the course is advertised about the big questions of life, and obviously we've been talking about this being in a Christian context, but realistically some of these questions, they exist, they need answering. Whether you choose to ignore them or not is a different sort of thing. But realistically, it's actually trying to define some of that stuff that really helps cement what you believe about other things. I just found it incredible. And I said that my two friends that were really, really enjoying it was their highlight of their week as well. And, one of them's a singer in an ABBA band. The other one's my mate Sam, who's a drummer. And smart people who don't go to church, who just have experienced their ups and downs in life, and they wanted somewhere to kind of to talk about it also.
Great. And John, you're a couple of weeks in, aren't you, on your course?
Yes, we've just started an online one through Zoom, and loving it. Of all the things we do as a church, Alpha is easily in my top one or two things, because get a chance to meet new people. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's just for extroverts. I think Jim made a good comment there that sometimes you just want to sit and listen and take it in, and just you feel free to do that in your groups. Take it in, just listen to what other people are saying. But I'm just loving that we're 2 weeks in. People are getting to know each other. I think one of the keys is, I'd say to people, if you're considering it, hang on in for a few weeks. It's a journey. Alpha is undoubtedly a journey. It's a journey of discovery of what you believe about God. It's a journey of discovering what others around you believe. So make sure you hang on for a few weeks. And very rarely do people not come away, even if they don't come to a Christian faith. Very rarely do people say to me, well, nobody's ever said to me, listen, I've just wasted my time coming to Alpha. Yeah. Some people have gone away and said, okay, I now understand Christianity better. It's not for me. Others have said, no, actually, I want to become a follower of Jesus. Nobody has ever said to me, listen, that's just been a waste of my time. So it's invaluable, and we're loving this current course.
Yeah, and obviously the current course is online. We're all in lockdown. That's, as we found out tonight, there's going to be challenges with that. Have you come across any barriers Any hurdles you've had to jump regarding that? I mean, Jim makes the point about you know, the personality of people. I'm guessing that's just takes a bit longer, a little bit harder, not so natural to interact online, or is that working for you?
Yeah, everything's pros and cons, isn't it? So the technology is a bit trickier tonight because we're doing Zoom into Facebook, isn't it? That's where the real glitch is tonight. I think the Zoom bit is fine, and Alpha's run through Zoom, and some videos are shown. So it's not as easy as just walking into a room, sitting down and watching a screen. We know it's just a little bit more tricky, but it's not loads trickier. But the beauty of it is our lot gather, they watch a film. So if people don't know the format, it's you gather and then you watch a film for 20 minutes or so, and then you have a discussion. And so in that film bit, people are eating their tea. Somebody's doing the washing. The other day, I could see somebody had their phone in their hand and a Tesco's man came. You know, it doesn't need to impinge on your life. You can ask and investigate these profound questions while life is going on. You know, so that's one of the. So yes, it's a little trickier with the technology, but there are benefits to doing it this way as well.
Yeah, great. And seeing as I'm on fire with the technology now tonight, I'm thinking I might go for another clip. Did the last one work? I can't remember.
Yeah, perfect.
We were perfect, but we've swapped screens and stuff, or we've merged. It's all up in the air. I'm just going to go for it. So you lot mute your mics, and let's see if this one works. Let's go to, this is week 4 of Alpha, and this is a clip. Week 4 is about what is faith, and this is just a little excerpt from that week to give you a flavour of the video content.
Faith isn't a blind leap. It's a reasonable step based on good evidence. In some ways, faith is more like a journey.
What is faith to me?
Faith.
Faith, I think, is a combination of confidence and peace.
Yeah, faith.
Sorry,
These are really good questions.
Trust.
I'm confirmed, if that helps.
I am CNE Anglican, which means I go to church for my gran on Christmas and Easter.
Believing without seeing?
He also has faith in me that their next step after this interview will be free.
I don't think faith has to do with religion.
I don't know how to describe faith.
It is believing in something that even though you haven't seen it yourself, something that gets you through the day.
There we go. So that's a little bit of excerpt from the content there. Hopefully that kind of helps you a little bit, certainly to see the quality of the media, which Jim was talking about before. It is really outstanding, actually. So it's really engaging. I know, Kathy, when you did it, I think it was pretty much Nicky Gumbel just kind of standing up and speaking into a camera, wasn't it, a lot of the time?
Yeah, no, it was Nicky Gumbel up at the front, and as I say, there were a couple of guest speakers that he brought in. Charlie Maxey was one, and I think Sandy Miller did one of the weeks as well. He was the vicar.
Okay, have you got a sneak peek at the new content?
I've had a look today. Fantastic.
Yeah,
really impressed.
Fantastic, great stuff. John, just back to you briefly. Just answer this simple question for us. How do people make the most of Alpha? I know Kathy talked about, you know, hanging in there. Would you add anything to that in your experience of your people?
Yeah, so to make the most out of it, the content, the video is great. So just come with an open heart, open mind, take it in, come to learn. So that would be the first thing, just come to learn. Also, come to listen, just sitting around discussing people in your groups with people, you'll really enjoy that as well. And then the third thing, it can sound like it's endurance, it's not that way at all. It just grows. It's like a snowball that gathers momentum. After week 1, I'm sure you'll go away and think, oh, I enjoyed that. It was good. And then week 2, you'll think, okay, no, that's better. And week 3, much better. So you find that people really enjoy it more the weeks go on. So I'd say just it builds week on week. So make the most of particularly those early weeks. I think you'd really enjoy that. So they would be my top tips, really.
Great. And as I said, we're a couple of weeks behind you. We're launching, well, 3 weeks probably. We're launching a week on Monday. And this is, you know, we know about Alpha. You know, you've been doing it for years. We've been on courses, haven't we? On not courses anymore, but it was a course when we were doing it. And you know, Alpha is a great bridge, I think. You know, in terms of that social element, and you know, when we're out of lockdown and we do it, we're around food and it's people, it's conversation, it's chat, it's chilled. Yeah, we're getting some really good quality information to challenge our thinking and allow it to drop into our hearts for us to make our own decisions on that. But I find that, you know, anything. I remember before I became a Christian, the thought of going into a church environment, whether it be a service or even some social, you know, some social that Christians are having, it's still quite a step, isn't it? It's still, I think it's still quite nervy in a way. I think that would be the same, Christians or not, any other group of people around a certain subject, topic, person, interest or whatever. But what I do love about Alpha Online is this opportunity to engage in the privacy and the comfort of your own home. And you talked about people just kind of getting on with stuff, and you know, it doesn't matter really. You know, you can come with your jogging bottoms on, nobody's going to know as long as you put a shirt on, tie on the top. You know, so I think it's a great opportunity, and I would encourage anybody watching tonight who's maybe thinking, you know, is this for me? Is it not for me? Hopefully we've dispelled a few kind of obstacles that you might be thinking about getting on the course. It's literally sign up and you're going to be put in a big Zoom chat room for a few minutes, and then you're going to be broken off into, how many is it, Jim, we're doing? Is it 6, 7, 8, 9 or something people in a group?
We want to try and keep the groups smaller, because obviously the limitations on Zoom is the more people on screen, the more microphones open, the more complicated it gets. The whole point is making sure that everybody has a voice, everybody's opinion, everybody's whatever it's in them is equal. The idea is we try and not to interrupt people and let people kind of voice what is inside them, and so obviously to try and maximize the way that people can do that, we're going to keep the group sizes to maybe 4 to 6 people, yes, and then maybe a host and a helper to try and to kind of keep that kind of level of engagement. So yeah, it's not going to be big groups.
Yeah. How's that worked for you, John? First couple of weeks in terms of group size and people engaging. Are people speaking out? Are they a bit reserved because of the technology, or just because of their personality?
Yeah, I think group size, like Jim's talked about, is important, because I think if everyone has the idea that we're going to give everybody ample time to talk, so you share the conversation around, and therefore that just draws it out of more people, isn't it? Even though there's the video, which is the central content, as soon as you get into the groups, then it's equal for everybody. Everybody's opinion is valid. So as long as the groups aren't too big, and that's what you've planned, then it gives people to say what they want to say and ask the questions they want to ask and share the experiences. So I think you've got that dead right, really. Right.
And do you feel people were kind of forthcoming from week one?
The question I ask on week one is, so there's a lot of introductions week one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
For you, what experience you've had, and just give us a flavour of yourself. So there's time taken up with that. But the question I'm interested in knowing on week one for people is, if you could have a one-to-one conversation with God in your front room, think about your life for a minute. If you could have a one-to-one conversation with God, what is the question you would ask him? That's the question I ask on week one.
Great.
And I've never known anybody not have a question.
That's good. That's a good question.
So that's where we start. And I say we can't answer all these. We're not even going to try and answer all these tonight. Nowhere near that. But over Alpha, we'll gather information. We'll share stories that will give it a go at doing our best to answer some of those.
Great. Kathy, can you remember back to that first time that you walked through the doors in HTB, and how you felt when you were put on a table with a group of strangers?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a long time ago now, but I can still remember being quite Yeah, I was a bit worried, you know, just what was it going to be like? Because you don't really know. But I just remember we went in and we were welcomed, warmly welcomed. And we did a bit of an icebreaker in the group. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think we had to think of a name, a description of our name, I think it was. And I remember it, and it had to begin with the same letter as your name. And we went round, and that just kind of, I always remember it because I said, oh, I'm Copious Kathy, of course. And I still am Copious Kathy, so that would be me. But yeah, it was, and that just kind of broke the ice. And from that moment on, everybody just gelled. It was amazing, actually, because you kind of think you put in that situation, and what's the chances of everybody gelling in a group? You think, oh, it's not, but we did. And it was a great, really great experience. I mean, I'm a big advocate of Alpha. You know, I've led courses, I've led groups. I love Alpha. And as I say, at best, you'll get to meet a whole load of people that you didn't know before and have some great conversation. And at the very best, it may just change your life.
Fantastic.
Ali, we've got some questions coming. Have we got a chance to answer them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we go on to that?
Yeah, so, Kate, go for it.
Yeah, the first question's quite interesting. It's from Julie. Hi, Julie. And we've talked quite a bit about how being online is really helpful for a lot of people that wouldn't ordinarily step foot in a church or wherever you plan to do it. But Julie's saying, not sure if you've covered this, but will there be a chance to meet up when the lockdown is over?
Okay, what, in the groups?
Well, as Alpha, I presume, is what she's saying. If the lockdown finishes, does Alpha then go back to being...
No, I don't think that's what she's saying. I think, obviously, once the course is over, once we can get back, will there be an Alpha get-together so that we can actually be in the person?
If you're still online, Julie, let us know.
Well, let's answer both. I mean, the first one, you know, for me, if everything is kind of day to day on this in this world we're living, isn't it? And you know, when restrictions start coming back in, they are going to come in undoubtedly. They're going to come in stages. So I can't think for a minute that within the 8 weeks of this course that we're running, that we are going to have the opportunity to meet again. So that's answered that one. Jim, talk about in terms of what you might think for the other angle of the question.
Yeah, so we get together. Like once we can get together, let's get together.
And how interesting is that going to be? You've kind of met a group of people online for the first time. It's going to be kind of weird, isn't it? Actually seeing them. And a good weird.
I'm going to say, we know it works because people get married having met online.
Hello.
Well,
this could be turning into something
might have some weddings.
Flipping it. Hang on, let's just leave space for Kate to prophesy right now. Keep going, Kate.
No, let's go on to the next question.
We've got a question from Nikki Smalls. Is it good for someone who is an atheist?
Kathy, what do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's, if you're an atheist, come along and just, you know, you can be someone that will really have some great questions based on what you hear. I think, you know, I remember there was a guy in my group and he was adamant he was an atheist. He was never going to become a Christian. He was there, he was poo-pooing it every week, you know, and if I remember rightly, week 10, he'd given his life. He'd been saved because, you know, it wasn't just about what you heard. It was about the whole experience, the love you experience, you know, the love, the friendship, it was all just lived out week on week, and you couldn't really well, he clearly didn't dispute it. So yeah, I would say if you're an atheist, come along. I would say it's ideal.
Great. We've got another question here. I'll get you to answer it, John. If you answer the same as me, I won't add to it. But the question is, what happens if you miss a week? What do you do?
Yeah, so you can watch the video back itself. So I send a link of the video so people can keep up with the content. Obviously, people work shifts. Somebody might be unwell. Of course, people will miss a week in 8. You know, that's the way it works. If we'd say to people that the less you miss, the better, because there's that sense of team and togetherness. But it's not like it's not a course, like you said, where you have to attend every week. So the content you can be sent to watch the video, but I think you'll want to come. So that would be my view. But if you miss a week, that's fine. That's life, isn't it?
And we want people to look. If people know we can send them a link to watch the video afterwards. That's all well and good. But we wouldn't want that to be an excuse not to come, because there is a there he goes with the booze again. There is a richness, isn't there, with the conversation, albeit online, and just not just getting to know people, but the richness of hearing somebody else's viewpoint, whether we agree with it or not, just gives us a better understanding and roundness of life, doesn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. The questions, it's like flying a plane. There's two wings to it. There's the content in the video, but as Kathy has highlighted loads, isn't it? It's the group side as well, and being part of that group dynamic is massive. To miss out on either of those is to sort of miss out on Alpha in its fullness. But not everybody. If you can't make every week, still sign up, still go along. Yeah, we understand that.
Great.
I think one of the things about the discussions is the fact that when you have a question, then you're going to have a group's worth of viewpoints on that, aren't you? You know, so it's not just having somebody you can dispute with it. You've got lots of just different sort of angles on it all, and your contribution to that conversation is really important to the whole thing. You know, so by missing a week and watching the video back, yeah, you might kind of get the information, but this isn't about information transfer. This is something sort of way bigger than that. So yeah. So great. I think Tom said, like, you know, you're going to try and be there once you start the thing. So.
Fantastic. Just looking at time, want to honour that. I know, John, you've got to go ever so soon. Just a few quick shout outs. We've got Julie online. Liz is watching. Ruth, our neighbour. Hi, Ruth. We're waving at you. I don't know whether you're looking out your window, but we're looking at your house. So hello to you. And come on the course.
Come on the course.
I don't know why I'm looking up there because you're not there. But come on the course.
Come in the kitchen.
Come on the course. It's not a course. Why am I getting to come on the course? There's no course. Come and experience the adventure that is known as Alpha. Right. I'm going to play one last video, just a minute clip. This is, I think it's the end piece of week 1. It just talks about the amount of hours we have in our life and just making the most of them. And after that, I'm going to come back for a quick 30-second response to the question, why you would encourage somebody to come on Alpha on May the 4th with us at the Rock Church. Okay, so mute your mics. Here we go. Last video of the night.
Alpha is a place where you can be yourself. You can say what you think and challenge everything. No question is too complex or too simple. And what your point of view is as important as anyone else's.
And over the weeks ahead, we are going on a journey together, an adventure to explore the questions of life, faith and meaning. Think of it this way. If you live to be 70, you're going to spend 20 years and 3 months asleep, 10 years and 5 months watching TV, 5 years and 9 months in some form of transportation, 7 years and 6 months eating and drinking. You have approximately 570,000 hours left to live. So why not spend less than 24 of them asking life's biggest questions?
Welcome to Alpha.
Okay, so there you go. Alpha reckon we've got 570,000 hours outside of the essential sleeping, eating, and all the rest of it. What are you going to do with yours? Are you going to spend them watching Netflix or just doing your own thing? I mean, who knows? But why would we encourage someone to spend? Look, these are going to be like 1 hour sessions, and we're just doing 8 initially. Why would we encourage our friends, family members, neighbours to invest just 8 hours? Do we think that's a good investment? What do we think we're going to get? Kathy, we'll go to you first. What would you say?
I would say that my life has been enriched beyond my wildest imagination as a result of the decision to do Alpha.
Fantastic, fantastic. Jim, you've had a taste recently of Alpha. Why would you say it would be good for somebody to invest 8 of those 570,000 hours in it?
Relationship is one. I'm big on relationships. I love people, so spending time with other people and learning more, like John was saying, about other people's lives and their points of view, because that's really helps you become a more balanced person. That's what I think's happened over my life. You know, the more I've listened, the more I've learned, the more I've become a wider kind of person. But I think I love deep conversation. Where else are you going to get a deeper, kind of more enriched place for conversation? So
brilliant. Kate?
But the Bible says, better is one day in your courts, Lord, than 1,000 elsewhere. And if I've got to do 8 hours of this, I can't wait. It'll be well invested.
Final word, John?
Yeah, two things. Back to the atheist question earlier. Alpha's so much better. If somebody's wondering and they'd say they're an atheist or agnostic, we need you on Alpha. You will enrich it and it will enrich you. So please come along. And then the other thing, the final evening, I always say, I don't know if they do this on other Alpha courses, I open the whole room up to people. So rather than just the groups, and again, it's not so easy. And I say to people, just stand up and share what you found out of Alpha. And every time, people just stand up and say, this is what I got out of Alpha, this is what I got out of Alpha. So I'm confident from what people have told me that they find it incredibly valuable. It's not wasting anybody's time. People enjoy it. So why not? And it's a unique moment, isn't it? It's a unique moment now. We've got evenings free that we couldn't have had before. We're not out playing sport, in sports teams. We can't go to the pub. What a unique moment to embrace these 8 weeks and investigate the deeper questions of life.
Even with a bottle of beer, John?
Well, they can have a bottle of beer at home. That's the point.
Exactly.
You can bring the chocolate.
Yeah.
I just want to see your beer bottle again. That was it. That was all it was.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it actually got anything in it, or is it just a prop that Sarah gave you?
It's my fifth one.
Fantastic. Hey, guys, thank you so much for giving us time, especially you, John, as our very, very special guest. Great to know everybody can understand and know that Ruth was just about to go in the shower. That's our neighbour, Ruth. So we're hoping she's hung on. It's a new shower. She actually showered regularly at our house, which is another story. And you know what? If we do another Facebook Live, we'll do a part 2 on that story. Why did my neighbour shower regularly at our house?
There you go.
Coming your way very soon. Thanks for your time, guys. We're going to sign off now. Thank you all for watching. And do make sure, for those of you out in Facebook land, to direct your friends to this post. God bless you.
Tune in again on Sunday morning at 10:30.
Good link, Pastor. Thank you. God bless you all.
Bye.